Hey guys, HK7335 here, and I just wanted to do a quick video to clear up some misconceptions, misunderstandings, and any problems you might be having with custom supports. So today I'm going to be working in Prusa Slicer. I don't use Cura. I am familiar with Cura. I used Cura in the beginning and found it to be very cumbersome and could never really get a good print out of it. Then I switched over to Simplify 3D, and that changed everything. Suddenly I could make good prints and good slices very easily, and I used that for a really long time. But since they're not supporting the program anymore and doing any further development in it, I've decided to come over to Prusa Slicer, which I found to be also very well laid out and easy to understand and get things accomplished in quickly. So that's what we're going to be working in today, and I do write about how to do this in Cura. If you want to use Cura, if you look in your instruction manual for either your gunny helmet or your pilot helmet or even your Mark 7s, you can find out the information about this. I do write about this in manuals. So go and check those out. If you're using Cura, you can find out what you need to get to be able to separate your model into parts. However, it does not do what I'm about to do the same way. It's a lot more cumbersome and more likely to fail. So I would just use Prusa Slicer. That's just me. So I'm going to open up this file here. It's a collar plate that I'm working on. That's going to go with the Brocatan. And as you can see, it's the plate and it has custom supports. And right now it's one single object. All right, so we're going to go ahead and split it into parts. We don't want to split it into objects. If we split it into objects, the slicer will treat each of these as if they're a separate entity and give them their own origins and drop them to the bed. So it will, in other words, it'll change the position and alignment that it currently has. There is already a gap between the custom supports and the model. This is the native gap. And if you change it to objects, which is what happens in Cura, you will change the origin points of the models, and they're going to change their positions. So instead, we split to parts. So what that does is it tells Prusa Slicer that this still is a single object, and we want to print everything in place. We want everything that's a part of it to stay where it is and not move. So, and we can fine adjust things after this point, but we still want the native positioning to remain intact. So we split to parts. Now you can see over here we have this single part right here, but it has two subheadings that when we click on, see it highlights the different parts. You can at this point, if you wanted to just slice this and print it, you could. The theory behind custom supports came from a print that I did where basically one layer didn't print, and not completely. It was a partial print, but there was a visible gap there, and I was able to basically break the part in half like super easy. I also noticed that the surfaces were very good. They weren't like all chewed up and ugly looking the way they normally look with regular supports. So I was like, and that's what gave me the idea to do custom supports in Blender. So anyway, at this point you could slice it and print it. The supports will remove, they'll just be a little more difficult. So I like to add custom settings to the supports. So I'm going to go ahead and select these. They turn green when you selected them. And I'm going to add modifiers to infill and also to layers and perimeters. So we'll change our infill to 3%, and we'll take our perimeters and layers down to 2 of everything. I was using 1 perimeter in Simplify 3D, and that worked out great. For some reason, in Prusa Slicer, 2 seems to be better. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So now we've gone ahead and done this. Now we can go ahead and slice it. And I've already got my settings. I'm doing this on the Cobra Max. I could give you these settings, but if you're not using a Cobra Max, then they're going to be kind of worthless to you. So anyway, I do print at 0.2 layer height always for everything, and run between 215 degrees Celsius and 225. I've been getting really good results with 215 right now in Prusa Slicer, so that's what I'm currently using. So, and I use a PLA 2 filament, which is PLA with additives in it that make it more flexible, make it tougher, and give it a higher glass transition temperature. In other words, it's going to take more heat to melt it. Is it as good as ABS? No. Is it as good as PETG? No. But is it easier to print? Oh, hell yes. Way easier to print. Those are very problematic filaments that require a lot of finesse and still may end up failing. And that's not great for a production environment. So I use PLA 2. All right, so now at this point we can just go ahead and slice it, and that's going to just take a few seconds. And there it is. Well, it's actually not quite complete yet, but it's almost there. I always use a raft with custom supports. It helps them really stick to the bed well and gives me a very solid foundation for the print to draw on. So you could use a brim, but I like a raft better because I just do. So there you go. You can see this clear separation point right here. Prusa Slicer is saying, yeah, we need to bridge this. And it will, but it's so close to the support that it's going to come out looking really good. The native distance for the unscaled part is usually between 0.3 and 0.32 millimeters. Now here's a note. If you want to scale your part, okay, let's say you want to make this bigger, okay, which is what I would do. I do all different sizes. So let's say I want to make a large. So I'm going to take this out to 110%. I scale in 5% increments. So a medium would be 105%. An extra small would be 95%. An extra small would be 90%. I've scaled this up. So by doing that, I have actually increased the distance between these two parts. Now, you can leave this alone, and 99% of the time it'll probably print okay, but if you have any doubt about the part's ability at this point to connect confidently with the custom support, then all you have to do is select it and go over here to your positioning bar, and let's just drop it by 0.1 millimeter. So we'll go 4.29, and it just brings it back down. That might be too much. Maybe we don't want to go that far. So let's go let's say it was 4.39. So we'll go like 4.35. You know, you can choose. I usually go anywhere between 0.5 and 0.15. So in terms of moving it. Another thing to keep in mind is not only do we have to modify the up and down distance, we also need to pay attention to this distance here. See, when we scaled up, we also increased this distance, so we may want to move this in the Y axis, and I think it's a minus value that we're going to want. So we're going to go, I'm just going to go 0.05 minus 0.05, and it moved it ever so slightly to the in this direction. So yeah, because when we brought it down, we brought this closer. So it's better if you don't move the part at all, but if you do feel like you need to, just be aware of how it's moving in relation to the custom support, and you should be good to go. And then if you make it smaller, if you want to make this thing smaller, then let's go 95%. So we're looking at an extra small. Now we've made this distance really narrow. So again, we may want to just move this part up a little bit, up and out just a little bit. So in fact, I would go probably 0.15 on this because well, actually no, we're only 5 degrees or 5% less than the original. So we'll go 0.1. Go ahead and change that real quick. Go in 0.1, and I think that's what I did the last. Oh yeah, we want to increase this, so we're going to go to 0.45. And that just raises it up a little bit, and we'll also bring it out on the Y just a little bit. Let's go ahead and go. There we go. We just moved it out a little bit. And that's pretty much all there is to it. They're super simple. If you don't want to use the custom supports, then at this point, once you've separated the model into parts, just select the custom supports and hit delete. And they're gone, and you can do this the good old-fashioned way and draw in your supports and do it the way you always do it. So, and just make it a regular old part. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Custom supports do work. I keep making new ones because, for every model that I'm making now, and going back and even adding them to models that I've done in the past, and because they work and I love them, and they give me a good surface quality where they connect to the model, and I'm just finding them to be a very positive experience, and I wanted to share that with you. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. There's lots of ways to do that, but definitely get a hold of me. I'd be happy to help you. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to make sure you guys are having success and a good experience with my products. And any questions you have, I'm more than happy to help answer. And if we don't know the answer, then we can figure it out together. So anyway, that's all I got to say about this. Happy printing. And this is HK7335 signing off.